Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This episode is brought to you by GSM Outdoors, whose vision is to preserve the sportsman's legacy, fuel innovation, and enable the next generation of outdoor enthusiasts. Think outside. That's where you'll find us. Now, make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got an awesome show lined up for you today. And
We sure do.
Don King is helping me co-host.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, how about a radio station we can shout out to
I think
today?
it's about time. Yeah.
All right. Saturdays at 7 a.m. You can tune us in on Whiskey Country Radio, whiskeycountryradio.com. That's 105.1 and 95.9, serving the Tullahoma, Shelbyville area. And we kind of picked that one because kind of hometown for our guest today.
Yeah, our guest, Mr. Jason Cruz. He's a content producer for the outdoors. He's got a couple of jobs on he does. Mossberg's one of them, and a thing called Wild and Kingdom. We're going to dive into all that today. So thanks for being here, Jason.
Oh, thank you for Tullahoma too, buddy. Anything to help my hometown. You know, I can. If you met me anywhere in the world, I'd say, where you live or where you from? I'm like, well, I'm from Tullahoma. Now, I tell you, I live somewhere else, but I'm from Tullahoma the rest of my life. You know?
Yep. Where are you from? And I always stumble up on that. Well, okay. I live in Wilson County now, but well, before we get too deep into today's show, I wanted to touch on a few just current event updates and things that are going on. The hunting and fishing guide is being worked on right now. We're very close to being in production, and it'll be in your mailbox or on the shelves by August 1st, so keep an eye out for that. The seasons have already been set, and all that information is out there, but we're updating the website, updating the guide, and all that stuff. So,
for anybody who doesn't know, you got a huge, it's a heavy lift for you, Jason. I appreciate all the work you've done on that.
I appreciate that, Don.
Getting with all the divisions, and I mean, especially now since it's a combo guide, you got the fisheries. Used to be you only had either hunting or fishing, separated.
Worked on at different times of the year.
Now it's all together. So I know you've spent a lot of time on it, and it's going to be right when it gets out there.
We've had some very in-depth conversations with regions, with different program managers and things, and it's all coming together. So another current event, things that are going on, the Wild Turkey Observation Survey is underway right now, and that runs through August 31st. So if you see some poults and some hens or whatnot running around out there, and you want to help us count birds, we encourage you to do that. Go to our website, tnwildlife.org. On the homepage, there's a button there for the Wild Turkey Observation Survey. Click that, and then that page that you'll end up on has all the details. You can download the information and the apps and things to help count the birds. Yep. So we appreciate you if you want to join in on that. Also, if you're interested in hunting big game on WMAs this year for this next coming year for the quota hunts, the application period is open right now. So that runs through July 23rd. So visit our website, tnwildlife.org, for information on that. If you want to go directly to apply, just go to gooutdoorstennessee.com and start the process. If you know what properties you're looking for, they're all there. Go ahead and apply for that. All the details are there. So it's that time of year.
Yep.
Even though it's fishing season, it's you're preparing for hunting.
I know, yeah.
But it's like a year-round sport these days.
It is.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you again for being here. We've got a lot to dive into today, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you. But just, I guess, first off, introduce yourself to the folks that are out there listening and watching.
Yeah, I grew up in Tennessee, and my name is Jason Cruz, and I started hunting and fishing when I was a little boy. You don't tend to start hunting and fishing. You were adopted into it, or you're brought up through it, through your daddy. And my daddy and my granddaddy were certainly that. And my dad was a PGA golf pro, but before he went into that, we owned a hunting and fishing store in Tullahoma. So think of a general store in your mind. Women never went there. They were way too smart for that. We'd sell you minnows and crickets and hunting and fishing gear and cut you a bologna sandwich, and we weren't going to wash our hands either. Potted meat and crackers or something. But that was back in the day. You remember when Tennessee, at the time, you had to physically check in a deer.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, as a 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kid, 6-year-old kid. I mean, Daddy would like, hey, go check in that deer. Oh man, so I was covered in blood every Saturday. It was awesome.
Big meeting place.
And you got it done. Like it's funny. I was just telling a guy the other day. I can't remember who I was talking to. I was talking to a duck outfitter in Arkansas, and we were talking about this. And I said, man, the coolest thing about my daddy's store was about 9:30 on a Saturday morning. Everybody come rolling in because they wanted to see the check-in book. Hey, let me see that check-in book, and they wanted to see who's checking in deer. And so it became the catch-up spot. Everybody got a Coke, or Daddy wouldn't sell beer. You could buy it, but you couldn't drink it there. And he but you get a Coke and Little Debbie or something, and just
hang out,
rocking chairs, buddy. It was best.
I bet the photo board. Did you have a photo board?
Oh Lord,
okay.
Polaroids
or whatever.
Oh my goodness, and I got to take those too. And you'd write on there, Jason Harmon. Didn't put the date on there. It's Polaroid camera.
Yeah.
I remember my first deer. I went to an actual physical check station.
Yep.
It was, I want to say Watts Bar or General Store or something over there. I forget exactly what it was called. But yeah, I eventually got that photo back somehow. I don't know how I got it.
Oh, neat.
But I've got the Polaroid, cool. Or the photo from that. And
and then when I finally got to make the board, oh man, and my first deer, I'm like, I'm on the board, man.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it was life. I didn't need anything else after that.
Yeah, man, that takes me back.
That
was deer on Thief Neck Island. If you're listening out there, you ever hunted Thief Neck Island as a juvenile? It was a youth hunt.
Sounds like it might be illegal.
No, it was out there. Probably
a little sinister.
And if I was in the wrong, I'm sorry. Awesome. So you mentioned you grew up in the outdoors, hot and heavy. Introduced from a young age. So that's awesome. How did you get into the outdoor? Well, I'm gonna back up.
Yeah.
You said golf pro, and I love golf.
Oh yeah.
And my son's a big golfer. So tell me more about that real quick. I know this isn't a golf show, but we're right off the heels of the U.S. Open. So
yeah, we are. Daddy made a career change. We sold the Sportsman, and so he'd always been around golf a little.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it happened, but he ended up becoming an assistant pro there in Tullahoma at AEDC, Arnold Golf Course.
Okay, yeah.
And it's really cool, man. My dad always, Daddy went to heaven about a year ago, and so this was my first Father's Day without him, and that was. I mean, it was okay. I knew it was coming, of course, but he and I were so close. We actually had a television show on DirecTV for a while called Me and Dad. I mean, we were really close. And,
very cool.
And hunting show and fishing show, but Daddy was he was really good at taking underperforming businesses and turning them around, and he really changed the game. In fact, my dad, I'm not going to get the title right, but in 1992 he was voted #1 golf pro in the world. It was in the Air Force. Now he was PGA, but military installations have golf pros too.
Sure.
And for all of the Air Force, he was that little course in Tullahoma was the best performing golf course on planet Earth.
Wow.
Per capita. Huh. It was fascinating. He was really good at that. So
very cool.
But we always hunted, and fished, and that was never not a part of our narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. I just had to detour there for just a second.
Sure.
So how did you get into the outdoor industry, like shooting these TV shows, and we'll dive more into the career you're in now, but how did all this come about? Well,
I'm a little hesitant to talk about my past because I'm right up here in the smack in the middle of all the law enforcement, and I don't think I've done anything. I'm sure. Well, I know I've done something wrong. I probably forgot what I did. In fact, my oldest son Cole, this morning he goes to Mississippi State and he runs media for the Deer Lab. I don't know if you know Mississippi State Deer Lab. It's one of the premier deer labs in the nation, and he runs their media and does a lot of research with them, and that's what he's getting his degree in. And he said he was leaving this morning. He said, "Where are you going, Dad?" I said, because he's going back to campus, Mississippi State. And he said, "I said, well, I got to do a thing with TWRA." And he said, "Huh." That's all he said. I said, what? He said, well, it could be one of those traps, they're how they invite everybody in they think they're going to a podcast, but you could be getting arrested. I'm like, well, daggone, I don't think I've done anything wrong. Then it's half scared me, I'm like, well, gosh, I think I'm okay. I don't have any lasiacs or anything like that going on, but one of my best friends in the world is a game warden. So
you did get greeted by the director and assistant director.
Yeah, y'all were waiting on me coming in. I'm like, I don't know about what's going on.
It might have made you a little nervous.
Yeah, dadgummit. And
I gave him a heads up, make sure we got everything in order.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. It's but I just spoke at a big conference for game wardens a few months ago, and game wardens and law enforcement, and you guys have a really hard job in this world. And it's interesting. But so how I got in the outdoor industry? Well, I got started as a writer, and I was first published, and of course, that sounds big. It wasn't. I had my first words went into print in high school, and won an award, and had a teacher. Actually, I had a teacher. I was the yearbook. I was the yearbook editor for sports.
Oh, okay.
She walked in one day, Miss Sylvia Garner in Tullahoma, and she said, "Hey, you won second in the state," and I said, For what, Miss Garner? And because I'm a golfer, I'm like, well, I didn't go tee it up, or something. And she said, no, you won second in the state for writing. And I said, Miss Garner, I'm not tracking. I don't really know what you're talking about. She said, no, honey, I submitted your work for you. You can write. Sometimes people just need permission.
Yeah.
And so I did not know. I said, I can't. I literally remember. I said, I can write. She said, yeah, honey, you can. And that just gave me permission. If she said I can, I guess I can.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I started writing and started writing faith-based articles for hunting magazines. And because, people don't realize they need content too. That was back before we ever heard the word influencer or content provider. But I knew that these publications needed material.
Yeah.
And if you're willing, and I get a lot of young dudes asking me how do I get started in the hunting industry? So we need to be willing to work for free. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get sponsorships. Let me tell you. I mean, I'm heavy deep with Mossberg, and I have been a long time. But these companies aren't made of money. You think they are? They're not.
Right.
And very few are. I mean, they do fine. But there's not money just laying around. If you want to get started, then you need to get started, and then grow a tribe. And then once you grow a tribe, then you might have something to talk about. And maybe get some leveraging. But I started writing, and that led to we got into doing faith-based DVDs with hunting shows, like Will Primos, David Hale, and David was such a good friend of mine, and I love him so much. And so I remember the first time I got to hunt with David Hale. I remember walking through a cornfield in Kentucky in the dark, and all thoughts were on my mind were, I sure am glad it's dark, because he's going to think I'm weird, because I can't quit looking at him. I mean, it was like, for all the kids today, it's like
can't believe
throwing baseball with Derek Jeter. He's like,
right.
I cannot, but I'm hunting with David Hale, But I got to, it's kind of just evolved over time. And then where it really kind of made a big turn was Sportsman Channel needed some content, and they wanted me to do some turkey stuff, and they were always calling me. This is a long time ago. Sportsman Channel would call me all the time, and they would say, hey, put up a turkey show. I'm like, I'm not paying for that. I will do it, and I'll produce the show for you, but I'm not paying for airtime.
Yeah.
Because I know you need content.
You need content.
But I'm not, so we can barter, but I'm not paying you. Well, they said, then Sportsman Channel, to their credit, was trying to get, YouTube was just coming on the scene, and they needed turkey shows, and turkeys was what I did a lot. And so we did a show called Spring Chronicles, and it was kind of their first real attempt to do, I'm not saying it was the only attempt, but it was kind of the tip of the spear for doing, you can still watch Spring Chronicles to this day on their YouTube, and it's dated, of course, but and so when Mossberg saw that, they were like, hey, would you do that for us? I'm like, well, maybe. By that time there was ability to talk about money, but I had to do a lot of work, to get to that point.
Right.
And then with Mossberg, it really kind of took off from there. And in all of that, there's books, and then I did a lot of Bibles. I did Bibles for not the Genesis to Revelation part, just the devotions, But it's amazing the hate mail I got in those days. Like, hey, I don't like the way you translated that verse in Leviticus. I'm like, honey, that was Moses. That I just wrote the devotion in the back about how to shoot stuff in Jesus' name and then marinate it. But that's what we did, and so all that just kind of has, I guess you'd say, grown over time.
Yeah. Well, you talk about that stuff being dated and out there still, available. It's still relevant.
I was at a tire store the other day, and a law enforcement officer said, Jason Cruz, and I turned around and went, man, what have I done? I'm like, when a law enforcement officer calls your name, you don't think anything good. You just don't.
You just say yes, sir.
You just say yes, sir, and just kind of hope that this is going to go well. And it sounds like I got a past. I don't. I think I'm just human. Like and I love law. I've got so many friends. My two uncles were retired Metro PD in Nashville. But anyway, he said, man, I watch all your Spring Chronicle stuff. I'm like, really?
Wow.
He said, I watch it every spring. And I said, it's funny. I cannot tell you the number of hunters that I have ran into all over the country that say every year they go into Mossberg's YouTube channel, click on the Masters series. There's a playlist called the Masters, and it's just like mastering the Yelp, mastering the box call, mastering the owl hoot. And it's not like I know what it's not like I'm some expert. It's just like, hey, here's how I got better. And guys, I cannot tell you the number of people that I watch it every spring, top to bottom, just to sharpen my knife. But to your point, it's once it's digitized, it's evergreen.
Yeah. I mean, we do shows here. We're it's up to 435 episodes, I think it is, or 6.
That's impressive.
We've had so many episodes, and then every year we're like, well, we need to do a turkey and a deer hunting show, and this, that, and the other.
Some things just never change.
It's like, man, we're going to talk about the same things, but we're going to maybe talk about the same things, but it's going to be maybe presented just a little bit different, where somebody might understand it a little bit better, or we say it a different way, or Well,
the body of work, it's inexhaustible. Like Cole works for the Deer Lab. He just produced for them a 4-part series on moon phases. They did like, I don't know how many hours it was on the moon.
Yeah.
And there are tens of thousands of hunters that will watch that.
Oh yeah.
And it's barely edited. They just want the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
And like you said, YouTube, all these different outlets these days, it's at your fingertips. You can get it,
Well, and some of our most watched shows are the down and dirty, the bare bones of, hey, what happened at the commission meeting? With the deer season or the turkey season most recently.
Yeah,
and they're hungry for information. They really are. Well,
let's dive into the career at Mossberg. I think that's very cool to work with a company like that, and video content production. You maybe wrote for them, right?
I do a lot of stuff.
Different stuff. Yeah,
I do. I manage their YouTube channel.
Okay,
and kind of curate that. I kind of work hard on developing new talent. So as younger guys are coming on that want to get, we need younger faces, and so. We're all the time trying to look for young dudes that want to do more than just be on the front end of the camera. They're not trying to get famous. They actually are really trying to reach that generation. And so I do that. I do produce several shows for Mossberg and the Rugged American Hunter show, which was not about me. I get a lot of grief from my buddies like, yeah, Rugged American Hunter. No, that actually Mossberg's marketing slogan for a long time was built rugged, proudly American. And so we did Rugged American. And so the Rugged American Hunter would be like you or you, Don. Like it would be like, hey, this is a guy named Don. He's a farmer. He's built a really cool duck blind. It's just a human interest story.
Yeah.
And I love human interest stories. So the Rugged American Hunter is people you'd never meet, but they're just cool dudes, that you might run into at the co-op, but, so that produced that show. That's a long running show for Mossberg. And then, I produce, a lot of other things for them, and then I write, and we do some social media projects. So it's kind of all more like front end work for engaging the hunting community.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into some of the other things that you're into, I kind of breezed over this, but how was your turkey season? We're just coming. Okay. Awful. All right.
Yeah, it was awful.
We're just coming off of it.
That was short.
It was short. All right, moving on to the next topic.
Next, it was tough. But I'll tell you though, it's just like so many other things, weather related. Now I know some guys that had a great turkey season, but in other words, they killed 2 birds, or whatever. But we hunt a lot, we film a lot, and this year I knew in March I was going to have a tough turkey season, and it didn't open to April 12 this year. I think, was that right?
Put me on the spot.
I think it was April 12th. I think April 12th. But so I think it was April 12th. Anyway, it was right about that time. And I knew in early March we were going to have tough because it got hot and it got warm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, they're really going to, be fired up. And buddy, sure enough, on youth weekend, I took my son Tucker, and the birds were gobbling hard and running hard middle of the day. And I'm like, oh no, we're about a month early.
Yeah.
So but it was also tough it was tough in Mississippi. It was tough in Georgia. It was tough in Kentucky. Everywhere we went and every hunter we talked to was saying the same thing. They said, I can't hear birds gobbling. And I killed probably 80% of the turkeys I've killed in my lifetime have been after 10 o'clock. I don't even get excited till after 10 o'clock. And we heard only a couple birds gobble, and I have a lot of farms to hunt, and I'm telling you, they just were on my end. Empirically speaking, it was hard. It was just hard, but I mean that happens. I mean, we killed a few birds in Tennessee, and some of our guys killed birds other places, but yeah, overall it was really tough.
I can agree with your season. I had somewhat similar. We heard birds before the season opened. Like you were right. The youth season was April 5th, 6th, and the adult season, or the full season, was April 12th. But so we heard birds right before the youth hunt, and then got out there thinking we're going to have this big bird come in, and a hen came in. The big bird did not. He gobbled once, but he went the other direction. And in our spot we were limited on moving, so they had to come to us. But yeah, I could see that, and I've had people ask, how was your season? Or my season was rough, but it comes with the territory. I mean, it's year to year, temperatures, like you said, weather related, things like that. So, and I'm going to have to pause, come back. We're Tucker. Your son's Tucker. My son's Tucker. So we got Jason and Tucker.
That's awesome.
A lot of connections here.
How old is your Tucker?
He is 13.
Mine is 14.
Well, we're going to have to get together sometime.
Yeah.
But yeah, so turkey season, and you mentioned doing a lot of turkey videos. How did turkey become your thing?
That's a good question. I tell you why I think it was such a big deal. First of all, and you did both of y'all grow up in Tennessee?
No, I grew up in Nebraska.
Okay. Well, growing up in Tennessee, we never saw turkeys, never heard turkeys.
That's my experience.
I mean, so when I did my master's work at Southwestern Seminary, and I came back from Southwestern in the mid '90s, and I remember seeing something come through the woods, and it scared me to death. I like, what is that? It was a bunch of them, and it hit me. They were like 100 yards off, so I couldn't really tell if it was Bigfoot or what. And I was catching glimpses of them going through the oak trees, but it was far enough away I couldn't see them through my scope, and it hit me 3 days later, like, those were turkeys. Oh my gosh, those were turkeys. Yeah. And so we didn't really have turkeys much to hunt. That you every now and then you'd hear about somebody killing one, but I mean it was a show-stopping conversation.
Yeah, right.
You saw a turkey.
Yeah.
I mean, and so deer hunted, which is what most of us did, and then I would say I killed my first turkey in Franklin County, down around the Elk River, and on a buddy of mine, a really good friend of mine's farm, and I was like, wow, this is cool. I mean, it's fine. But then it seemed easy, and then the next few hunts weren't. Then I got involved in the chess match, and then when I started really figuring out this is a chess game, that to me was so much more fun than deer hunting, because I could move, I could negotiate what I was going to do next, and getting into their head. And at the time, Tennessee's turkey population was really growing, and so I had a lot of farms to hunt. And when that all came together, it was warm. It's been cold all winter. Spring, dogwoods are blooming, and man, I loved the call and response. That's why I love duck hunting. I'm just as deep in duck hunting as I am, and I think it has to do with calling and manipulation. Trying to manipulate.
Well, I think that part about turkeys is being able to move and be able to work the bird and try to get in the right position. Yeah, that's something I never did growing up. But once I moved to Middle Tennessee, got to experience it. I was like, man, this is fun. So
it's a ton of fun.
Deer hunting was my passion for a long time, and turkeys right there in a second.
Yeah, for sure.
But well, career Mossberg, still doing that, but you've started a new adventure, and we got a couple minutes here. I wanted you to share about Wild and Kingdom and what that is, and
not Wild Kingdom,
right.
which is Omaha.
That's that,
you know,
Mutual Omaha.
Yeah. Wild and Kingdom.
They own the trademark on that.
Yeah.
And so be quick to say. So it's like field and stream. You know, Wild and Kingdom. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
And that was very specific. And so I've been involved in media production and branding and marketing for a long time. And so a good friend of mine, he owns Apex Restoration, and he's just we're lifelong friends, and we both went into ministry together. And Greg and I were talking, and we kind of had an equal burden, and that burden was I love storytelling, but we've always used hunting as I tell a lot of young guys. I know this sounds weird, but you're going to get tired of killing animals. If that's what you're doing it for, you're really not doing it right. Yeah. It's not about just stacking up green heads, that just gets really old, and it gets arrogant, and it becomes a game, and very sinister game, and toxic of numbers. And I'm so not that. But relationships really do matter to me. It sounds nice and sounds very spiritual, but they actually really do. And so Greg and I were talking, and there has been, so this may be one of, who knows, you may edit this, you may not, we'll find out. But this it came from a burden, Jason. And that burden was when I was growing up, in the 80s, men were men, and you had male role models. Now, I'm not saying they were the best ones, but nobody was confused on what it was mean to be a man. And so your granddaddy or athletic figures like, George Brett or Bill Buckner or people in baseball or, Michael Jordan, those guys were really big into that. And so it came out of a burden for manhood. And so Wild and Kingdom is a hunting show and a subsequent podcast to follow it up. Yeah. And so wildandkingdom.com. And you can go on YouTube, hunting, fishing. We do a show, and then we do a follow-up podcast on what happened on the show. Nice. And it's all about biblical manhood and how to restore men back to their created role.
Awesome. I think that's an awesome ministry there. Just recently going through a man's Bible study at our church, and I think this would be a great follow-up. I'll need to talk more after the show about some things we can incorporate.
Yeah, it's done real well already.
Yeah, that's awesome. Go check that out, wildandkingdom.com. Unfiltered and raw, Wild and Kingdom covers issues in today's church culture. So go check that out. Yeah. Go check out Mossberg's stuff on their YouTube, their YouTube, all the content you put out there. Very cool. Just thanks for being with us today and sharing a little bit today.
You bet.
We'll have to get you back.
I would love it.
This is Tennessee WildCast. Thank you all for tuning in, for watching, for listening, and being a part of our show through our social media and everything else. And just keep coming back, and we'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org. And follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.